Hey, welcome back. We are on season 6. I actually originally filmed all this stuff back in December, and I actually edited most of it, and then I missed my deadline of getting it out for Christmas, and I missed the deadline, and I just kind of hit a wall and stopped. So, to avoid any confusion, that's the explanation, so let's just go ahead and get into it. Mac is trying to get into Shitty Fitness using Dennis's ID, but he fails to do so. However, while he's here, he runs into Carmen and he finds out that she is now married. He ends up going back to the bar and he is upset, claiming that he is against gay marriage. We then end up getting this B-roll footage, which is taken from 7th and Callow Hill, which we covered once before. Charlie later on is trying to move some boxes of coins and he ends up hurting his back. Frank also hurts his back when he tries to crack Charlie's back for him, and that's when Charlie suggests getting into a domestic partnership because Frank doesn't want to pay for Charlie to go to a doctor. 600 Arch Street. This is where Frank and Charlie come to do the paperwork for their domestic partnership. Frank doesn't really understand how the domestic partnership is going to benefit him, and Charlie tries to make an argument for it. While they're here, they run into Dennis and Maureen, who are also filing paperwork for their marriage. Maureen doesn't have a job, so she's just gonna hang out at Dennis's place all day. He takes off to go work at Patty's because, somebody's got to bring home the bacon. Charlie and Frank are there and they are disputing their civil partnership. The guys then take Dennis out to the strip club to throw him a bachelor party because he never got one, and he kind of is forcing them to do it. And then we end up getting this B-roll footage, which is taken from approximately 240 Race Street. We've covered this area quite a bit, so we won't go into too much more detail, but here's a little bit of B-roll for you. Bill Ponderosa is waiting outside of Dee's place because he told his wife about the affair that he was having with her and she kicked him out. She doesn't really want to let him in, but he reminds her that he bought her a car, so she relents and lets him come stay with her. We then get this B-roll footage, which is taken from 3rd and Market. They're using a much stronger lens, but it's facing down towards City Hall. After this, Dennis and Matt go back to their place, drunk and stumbling, making a lot of noise late in the morning. Maureen isn't particularly happy about it, so they get into a little bit of an argument, and Dennis tells her that he wants a divorce. Charlie and Frank have decided that they are going to go get a divorce. We then end up getting this B-roll footage, which is taken from Schuylkill Avenue and Market Street. Right after this B-roll footage, Dee takes Bill back to his house. Bill asks her to wait a little bit when he drops her off. He runs inside to make sure that everything's okay, but then he ends up running out with his kids under his arms, throws them in the car, and they take off. Dee comes back to the bar and she is panicking because she is now an accomplice to Bill's kidnapping. Bill's mistress and wife show up, and the mistress takes off with Dee's car, the wife takes the kids, and this is also the first time that we end up seeing Dickinson as a secondary street for the bar. Frank and Charlie go to Shitty Fitness to talk to Carmen about gay marriage because they assume that she would be an expert, and then we end up getting this B-roll footage. Unfortunately, I can't replicate this B-roll footage the exact same way that they had it in the show. I'm standing at the top of the parking garage of 12th and Filbert, right above Maggiano's. That's the only place I can get access to, but as far as I know, this footage was actually taken from the roof of the Marriott across the street. I can't get to their roof, so this is the best that I can do for it. So let's actually go ahead and talk about where Patty's Pub is located. Throughout the series, we do end up seeing that it is on 2nd Street, but they don't give us another cross street for quite a while. It's here in season 6 that we finally see Dickinson as a secondary cross street for the show, and that is where we're at. We are at 2nd and Dickinson. Now, one noticeable difference is that in the show, they write out the word 2nd, but in the city of Philadelphia, all of the numbers are numbered street signs, so that's one big difference. And then, as you can tell, this is no Patty's Pub over here. So nothing too special. Next location for Patty's Pub we have is Mac's Tavern. This is located on Market Street, right next to 3rd. It was owned by Rob and Kate. I don't know if that's still the case, but it closed up a few months ago. I just figured I'd go ahead and include it, and I'm sorry for anybody who had this on their itinerary for when they're coming to Philadelphia to visit. It was a pretty decent bar, but you know, it's gone. Maybe it'll be back in the future. We'll see. And then we have Patty's, which was established in 1975 and is apparently the inspiration for the show. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but hey, you know, it's a little bit of a dive bar. You can smoke inside, so hey, maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know, but it's located right here at Race and Bread Street. Mac and Dennis have made a ton of money from selling their dig towels, so they decide that they are going to get a P. Diddy-style shrimp boat. Mac and Dennis take off to go get supplies from the store, and they leave the rest of the gang behind to fix up the boat. Frank throws the keys to Charlie, but he ends up missing, so now Charlie has to dive into the river to get the keys. We then end up getting this B-roll footage of the Schuylkill River, which is taken from Schuylkill Avenue and Market Street, right across the corner from 30th Street Station. While Mac and Dennis are at the store, Dennis mentions that they need to get a mattress for the boat for the ladies because of the implication. Frank decides that he's going to start doing a demolition job of the inside of the boat, so he starts gutting everything. Mac and Dennis show up, and they are not too happy with the state of affairs at the boat. And that's when we get this B-roll footage. This is the Walt Whitman Bridge right behind me. This is taken over in Gloucester City, New Jersey, so right across the bridge from Philadelphia. Off in the distance, you can see the Ben Franklin Bridge. I don't know how well you can see it, but yeah, this is the dock where they were supposed to be having their boat. We then end up getting this B-roll footage, which is taken at approximately 236 Race Street. Unfortunately, I can't do it the same way that they've done it in the show because there's been a whole bunch of construction, but you see the Philadelphia Duck Boat Tour drive by, and those are no longer around because in 2010, they ended up getting into an accident which resulted in the death of 2 Hungarian tourists. And then a few years later in 2016, they hit a pedestrian. So after that, they closed up shop here in Philadelphia. So the plus side of that is that we no longer have to listen to those really obnoxious duck whistles. So hey, silver lining. You know, unfortunate accident though. Mac won a radio show contest, so he gets to now shoot a goal at a real live Flyers hockey game. However, he's going to need a little bit of practice, so he comes here to 1001 South Front Street. He's with Charlie, but they both end up getting kicked out because they are not wearing ice skates like a bunch of jabronis. And then they eventually come back and they do some more practice and they go hard. But yeah, 1001 South Front Street, Rizzo's Ice Hockey Rink. Mac's big day has arrived, so we find him here at the Wachovia Center, which, as you can see, has been renamed to the Xfinity Mobile Arena. Dee and Dennis show up, handing Mac a demo tape of their podcast, hoping that he'll hand it off to the radio host. Mac steps out onto the ice. He takes a shot. Goal. He won. He accomplished his dream. But that's not actually what happened. Turns out he ended up tripping and falling and getting knocked out, and that was all part of his dream. Charlie stepped in to take the shot for him, and Charlie missed. So that's unfortunate.
This is the big shot. We want to see Michael right back here. Xfinity Mobile Arena, and it's going. You kind of had a goal there. That's a nice shot. You got some awesome prizes there.
Mac and Charlie are trying to beat the summer heat, so they decide to go to a private pool club, which denies them entry. Mac seems to think that they can't get in because they are lower class, so they decide that they're going to go get their own swimming pool and fix it up themselves. Dee and Dennis seem to think that they'll be able to get into the private pool club because they were born upper class and they are still upper class. We then end up getting this B-roll footage, which is taken from 13th and Arch. It's pretty similar to a number of other B-rolls, just a different angle. After this, Dee and Dennis go to the private pool club, but they are also denied entry.
Oh! No, Dee, that's severely lacking
Too
in
much?
class.
My bad. Got carried away.
We then get this B-roll footage, which is taken from 3rd and Cecil B. Moore Avenue on the north end of the city. Right after this, we see Frank, Dennis, and Dee at the public pool. We then get this B-roll footage, which is taken from Penn's Landing. This whole area is under a whole bunch of construction, and we're actually pretty close to where they're doing the construction, so we're pretty lucky that this part hasn't been demolished yet. But after this, we end up seeing Mac and Charlie. They are working on their swimming pool. Mac hops into the pool to help Charlie lift a mattress out of it, but he didn't know that Charlie was using that as a ladder to get in and out. So now, both of them are stuck inside the swimming pool with no way out.
Help! Help!
We then get this B-roll footage, which is taken between 10th and 11th on Diamond Street. It's actually a little bit closer to Alder Street. It's right next to Temple University, right across the street from the practice field for the football team. Dee and Dennis are not having a very good time at the public pool, but Frank is fitting in perfectly. Meanwhile, Mac and Charlie are still stuck at their pool, and they try and call a pizza delivery guy to come and help them out, and unfortunately, he decides to not help them out when they try to pay with a gold chain. We end up getting this B-roll footage for a second time, however, it is zoomed out. We then get this nighttime B-roll footage, which is taken on top of the University of Pennsylvania Museum parking garage. Mac and Charlie are still stuck in the pool, and it has been filling for a few hours. Frank, Dee, and Dennis come to their rescue, and then Frank mentions that he knows a way for them to beat the heat, Philly style.
I think I have a way for us to beat the heat tonight, Philly style.
Hey, future me here. I forgot to record something for this part, so I'm actually going to come back to this location when we get to episode 8 when they kick Schmitty out of the car, but this is the exact same location where they do that, so I'm just going to use this clip from when I recorded episode 8.
Dee is pregnant, and she convinces the guys that one of them is the father. However, nobody remembers what happened that night because everybody was completely drunk except for the McPoyles. So the guys come over here to 5th and Morris, the home of the McPoyles. They previously lived over in the Italian market on 9th Street. By the end of the episode, we find out that Dee was just messing with them and none of them are the dad. The gang opens up an old time capsule and they find a picture of their old friend Schmitty, who they used to hang out with, and they kicked him out of a car once. They decide that they're going to go rekindle their friendship with him, so they find themselves here at 1947 East Moyen-Mensing, Schmitty's house. Despite Charlie's comfort, they invite him back into the friend group. Back at the bar, Charlie tells them that it's either him or Schmitty. They end up picking Schmitty. With Charlie now out of the picture, he goes to visit Dee, who is also revisiting her past by being an assistant to her theater teacher from high school. She tells him to go get a new job so that he can make friends. He interprets this as needing to go get a job as a janitor at her school.
We'd like your forgiveness.
Yeah.
Get on your knees and ask.
Excuse me?
Get down on your knees and ask.
Man, whatever it takes, Schmitty.
Wow, you're really doing it. I'm kidding. Kidding. Oh, man.
Next, we get the Maggianos located on 12th and Filbert. We've covered this location a couple of times before. They've invited Schmitty out for lunch to bring him back into the gang, and they give him a silver clover ring.
What the hell is this shit?
It's a sterling silver clover ring.
When we put all four of them together, makes a 4-leaf clover.
When the food comes out, Schmitty questions why they have Dennis order for them, and then he undermines them and has everybody else order their own food. And as you can imagine, Dennis is not particularly happy about this.
What do you guys want? Order whatever you want.
Weenie's too heavy for lunch.
No, what do you want?
I want fries.
Yeah! Absolutely, take it. That's yours. Yeah, by all means.
All right.
Yeah, would you get a ginger ale?
Things aren't going particularly well, and Schmitty is not fitting into the group, so they decide that they're going to kick him out. They attempt to throw him out of the car again, but they fail to do so. Then they pull over here at the intersection of Galloway and Mifflin. As Schmitty gets out and they pull off, Frank leans out the window, "Tell people we pushed you."
Tell people we pushed you!
After that, they attempt to bring Charlie back into the group, but he rejects their offer, gives them back their clover ring, and he continues being a janitor at the high school. He's a janitor in the next episode, but unfortunately, we don't have any new scenes in that episode, so we're not going to cover it. Charlie doesn't seem to understand what a spa day is, so Dee instead brings him here to the movie theater at 1400 Christopher Columbus Boulevard. This is the old United Artists Theaters, which is obviously now closed. Charlie isn't really enjoying the movie a whole lot, and he can't enjoy the spaghetti that he had Dee smuggle in for him, so he takes off and he goes back to the bar.
He took you to.
Oh no, she took me to a movie. Yeah, it was lame. I couldn't understand it. It made no sense.
That cynical bitch.
When the guys find out that Dee never took Charlie to the spa, they go to the spa to take the coupons back from her. At this point, Frank tells the others to go and find Duncan, so we find ourselves here at 929 Spring Garden. When they meet Duncan, they find out that he is actually associated with Frank. Deandra's water breaks, so they bring her here to the Hahnemann Hospital located at 12th and Broad Street. It is now closed. It is no longer in business. However, I think Drexel University owns it now. She refuses to tell the guys who the father is, so they set out to figure it out for themselves. At the end of the episode, Dee ends up just giving up her child to Carmen for adoption. Mac and Charlie are setting up Christmas decorations in the bar, and they also bought an industrial-sized snowblower because they want to have a white Christmas. They're also reminiscing about how their Christmas tradition as children involved throwing rocks at trains. Dee and Dennis talk about how when they were children, Frank used to buy all the gifts that they wanted, but he would keep them for himself. Frank then calls in on the walkie-talkie and tells everybody to come outside. He shows up in a Lamborghini that Dennis wanted, and he has a very nice designer purse that Dee is really in love with, but he is using it to hold snacks. And he says it's because they never learn their lesson that they need to earn what they get. That's when Dennis comes up with the brilliant idea of reaching out to Frank's old business partner, who Frank said was dead. Then we get this B-roll footage taken from here at 16th and Market. It's about a block away from City Hall. We have covered this area quite a bit. Dee and Dennis go to visit Eugene, Frank's old business partner. It turns out that he doesn't want to help get revenge. He has found faith and forgiven Frank. So they convince him to come along and kind of do a Christmas future kind of thing and pretend to be a ghost. We're then back at Mac's mom's house at Dickinson and Moyen-Mensing. We covered this in season 2. Apparently in episode 6 of this season, the house burned down, but they have rebuilt it just in time for the Christmas episode. And then again, they're doing construction on it one more time. Mac and Charlie are here, and they are sifting through Mac's closet. They end up finding the old Omnibot toy, which they stole from Ricky Falcone. They also find a videotape which shows Mac's family breaking into other people's homes and stealing Christmas gifts. Mac believes that it is an old South Philly Christmas tradition, but Charlie reveals that that is not how anybody does. That's not a Christmas tradition at all. We then get this B-roll footage, which is taken from the Art Museum steps. After this, Dee and Dennis go over to Eugene's place to talk to him about Frank. They show him some Christmas footage from when they were children to showcase his cruelty. We then see Mac and Charlie. They go over to Charlie's mom's place. Charlie tells Mac all about the Santas that used to come visit his mom on Christmas morning and bring him gifts, which he really enjoyed. Mac puts 2 and 2 together, and he convinces Charlie that his mom was a prostitute. When Charlie finally comes to the realization that this is the truth, he has a little bit of a mental breakdown. We then find ourselves at 331 Roseberry Street. Mac and Charlie have come to talk to Ricky Falcone, who they stole the Omnibot from over 20 years ago. However, they're not going to give it back to him. Instead, they're going to go to the mall, and they're going to get the hottest toy of the season so that they can make it up to him.
It's the spirit. Yeah, maybe we'll give him some new clothes, too, because that dude is in a rut.
All right, which way's the bus stop?
We came this way.
Apparently the hottest selling toy of this Christmas season is Redmond the Robot. Charlie and Mac go to the mall to try and get one so that they can give it to Ricky Falcone, but unfortunately the toy is all sold out. While at the mall, Charlie sees a Santa Claus, he sits on his lap, and then he ends up biting Santa and causes an entire commotion at the mall, and it's a little bit chaotic. We then find ourselves here at 3999 Woodland Avenue. This is the Woodland Cemetery over on the west side of the city, over in University City. Dee, Dennis, and Eugene bring Frank here so that they can show him his Christmas future. And Frank calls them out for not wanting him to actually change. They just want free stuff. Dee and Dennis, in their traditional fashion, they end up ditching Eugene here. Charlie answers the phone at the bar, and apparently Frank has died. So then we end up getting this B-roll footage. This is the University of Pennsylvania Hospital, located at 34th and Spruce. The gang comes here to identify Frank's body, but it turns out that he just faked his own death, and he only sprained his ankle when he got thrown from his Lamborghini. They end up ditching him and decide to go have their own Christmas. Towards the end of the episode, the gang comes back here to 331 Roseberry Street to sing Christmas carols outside of Ricky Falcone's house. However, he's not particularly amused as it is 4 o'clock in the morning. Dennis's car ends up getting towed because he's parked in front of a fire hydrant, and if you know anything about the PPA, it's not surprising that they'd be there at 4 o'clock in the morning waiting for you to mess up. After they fail to pull off their Christmas miracle, we end up getting this B-roll footage, which was taken over in Camden, New Jersey. So this is the Camden waterfront. And after this, they end up going back to the bar. Eugene and Frank have decorated the bar just in time for Christmas, and Frank is apparently now a changed man, and he is in a very giving mood. He ends up giving Dennis the Lamborghini, he gives Dee the purse that she wanted, but in a crazy twist of events, it turns out Eugene is not a changed man, and he pulls out a gun on Frank and he robs them because he is still upset that Frank stole all of his money and ruined his life. He then turns the snowblower on them and blasts every single one of them, but apparently we didn't need that snowblower because, as you can see, it is a white Christmas. Let's assume that this snow didn't melt by the time it was Christmas because this is about a week before. That is going to be an end of season 6. Thank you for sticking around.